How about now? Can everybody hear me now? How about now? Can everybody hear me now? All right, good. I actually had my mic turned off, didn't realize it. So, but it's going now. So, how's everybody doing on this Monday night? I hope everybody's doing great. I hope you're having a good day so far. It's the beginning of a very interesting week, and this week can bring a lot of different things. And we're going to talk about some of those things, but we're also going to touch on some of the things that's happening with Russia and China, because there's some unprecedented military action going on with Russia right now. We really need to look at this because I don't want to use the word, or I will, but distraction. While we're focused so hard on internal events, then there may be some external events that are going to impact us greatly. But first, I have to play a word from our sponsors here. So give me just 1 second. Hey, it's spring and it's time for a clear out. Not just the house and garden stuff, but the finances as well. If you've been thinking about starting an IRA or 401k, Noble Gold is giving away a genuine, rare Carson City minted Morgan silver dollar with every qualifying IRA or 401k this month. So give your investments a spring clean too, and go to www.noblegoldinvestments.com to find out more. Again, that's www.noblegoldinvestments.com. My mic. I'd like to thank my sponsors. They help make these videos possible. Want to talk about a few things today, and I want to start off by talking about something that's not on everybody's mind, and I just want to bring a little something to just throw it out there. Hester McCardle Ford of Charlotte, North Carolina, was believed to be the oldest living person in the United States, died yesterday, and she died peacefully at her home in Charlotte on Saturday. And she was 116 years old. 116 years old. Wow. That's pretty old. And she had, the reports I read, between 12 and 16 children, depending on which article you read. But she had 68 grandchildren, 125 great grandchildren, and at least 120 great great grandchildren. And I thought I had a big family. That's a big family right there, And just want to say that's 116 years old. Most people don't see anything close to that. Another piece of news today: the government, our beautiful government, has just approved that everyone over the age of 16 is now eligible to go get the vaccine. They say that over 50% of people in America have been vaccinated, and now your kids can go stand in line and take this shot. And I'm just going to leave that there because sort of like being on YouTube. I want to touch on a couple of things. And these are things, that are going on in the world. And these are some pretty severe things, I guess you would say. These are things that we really need to pay attention to, especially with everything that's going on in the U.S. right now. We got so much turmoil right here in the U.S. that it's hard to, really see what's going on around the world. And there's some things going on that are pretty disturbing, or pretty concerning, I should say. And one of those is, everybody's probably heard about where one of Iran's nuclear facilities was attacked or was bombed. There was an explosion there last week. And, initially they tried to blame that on Israel, and then they backed down from that. And, not really sure exactly what happened there. The details are still fuzzy. But the problem with that is they admitted they were enriching uranium to 60% there. Okay, now this is up from the 20% enriched uranium they were doing mid last year. So they're up to 60% now. With weapons grade uranium, it's desired that uranium be enriched to 90% before it's high weapons grade uranium, but it can be as low as 75 to 80% and still be considered, a highly weapons grade uranium. Not quite as pure, of course, as the 90%, but it's going to require, and the main difference in that is the amount of material it requires. If you have much higher enriched uranium, then it requires less material to make a nuclear weapon. The lower enriched it is, then, it takes more material to make a nuclear weapon. So the capability is there. It's absolutely there right now for nuclear weapons. And the real question is where are these nuclear weapons? I mean, Iran's been doing this for a long time, and they make no secret about what they're going to do with these weapons when they get them. So the real question, if they're able to enrich these, and if they tell us, you think about governments of the world, they don't tell us numbers, that are actually the real-time values. They're probably already enriching to 80 or 90%. We're just not seeing it because there's no investigators or, anybody going in there and checking up on them. And, this can be concerning in its own. But I don't want to get too far into that tonight. Russia. Now, Russia has been extremely aggressive. Think about Russia over the last 4 years. Over the last 4 years, Russia has been somewhat aggressive because Russia has always been an aggressive nation. That's pretty much, just given. They're going to be an aggressive nation. But here recently, Russia is building up their troops around the Ukraine border. And one of the things that's alarming about that is this is the largest buildup of Russian troops around the Ukraine border ever. This isn't like in the last 10 years, ever. And I'm going to share my screen right here and going to bring up move this to the side. And I just want to bring up a map right here to look at what we're talking about. Here we see Russia, the largest country in the world. Although a lot of Russia up in the northern part, you start talking about Siberia and things like that. It's extremely cold. It's a hostile environment. It's not very heavily populated because Russia only has a population of about, it's estimated between 120 and 150 million. So, it's less than half the population of the United States, and we live in less than half of the space that Russia has. But right around here, as you can see, let me see if I can expand that. There we go. Right around here, this is Ukraine, and they are building up their troops along these lines to levels that have not been seen, even in World War II. Even in World War II, when they attempted to defend against the Germans, they didn't build up the way that they're building up now. This type of buildup now looks like a military invasion. But unfortunately for us, we are being distracted by everything that's going on in the United States. This can be very concerning. When we think about the buildup here, look at where Ukraine is. This leads right directly into the heart of Europe. If they take Ukraine, they're in the center of Europe right here. They're almost dead center of Europe. And imagine the advantage that's going to give them, because if they take Ukraine, then they'll take Belarus, and that will give them this entire border. And, the smaller countries up here like Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, they're not going to be too far to fall either. And if Russia takes this entire section, then they're in Europe at that point. And this, is something that we should be concerned about. Can we do anything about it? No, we can't. But we should be concerned about it. This is, this is something that Russia is being extremely aggressive. We've talked on the last live stream a little bit about the new torpedoes they came up with that were basically, nuclear torpedoes, and we have those in our arsenal. We used to have, nuclear depth charges in our arsenal when I was in the Navy many years ago, but they did away with the nuclear depth charges, and now they have nuclear torpedoes. And these nuclear torpedoes, it's a little misleading. A lot of people will read about it and they'll be like, well, this isn't going to happen, because they tend to use the word tsunami. And with these nuclear torpedoes, say for instance, if one was to go off right around here, and, on the southern coast of I almost said South Carolina, but southern coast of the United States here, if a nuclear torpedo was to go off there, it would cause a tsunami. But by definition, a tsunami is not necessarily, a mile high. A tsunami could be 2 to 3 feet high as long as that wave, moves on shore the way it does. So that's the concerning part about those. But to be honest, nuclear torpedoes have been around for quite a while, and they're building up, in the Arctic region. And they have also, Russia has also said that no one's going to cross the Black Sea, at least until November. They've made it off limits. They've basically said nobody in the world's going to come through here. And if you do, well, I guess then we meet a military engagement at that point. So they're laying down some battle lines there. They're drawing some lines. And, this is something that we really, really need to be concerned about, because Russia's no joke. I mean, they have a large military. They have the same capabilities we do. They have more nuclear weapons than we do. Their Navy's pretty big. Their Air Force is pretty big. And with some of the things that we've seen in the past, you talk about their supersonic missiles, you talk about all this. We think, I know I grew up thinking, America's, the most technologically advanced nation in the world. We got all these weapons these other countries don't have. That's not true anymore. It was true 20 years ago, but it's not true anymore. We might have a slight technological advantage on other nations, but we do not hold a distinct edge just on our technology. If it comes down to a war, it will come down to the will of the people and not just our technology, because other countries have this too. I mean, we can't sit here in America and say that, Russia's not designing the same software we're designing. They're not building the same hardware we're building. Yes, they are. And, they're building different stuff. So we may not even know how to counteract some of the things that they have, just like they may not know how to counteract some of the things that we have. And this is something that we really need to pay attention to, because this is becoming a huge threat. The aggression that we've seen just since January 1st of this year from Russia and from China is more than we've seen in the last 10 years, probably. This is, it's at the point to where, nuclear war is not necessarily off the table anymore. 10 years ago, we would have said, there's never going to be a nuclear war. That's mutually assured destruction. But in reality, it's a distinct possibility these days. And if not a nuclear war, then definitely, maybe an EMP or some type of hacking attack that's going to take down our grid. Yeah, Gregory Atkins. I want to let me put the chat up right here so I can see it. There was a question. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get to it scrolling up through here. But there was a question talking about the vaccine, or a statement talking about the vaccine is causing blood clot in women. And that's true. That's absolutely true. This is what sort of makes you think a whole lot about this. Okay. And so what makes you think a whole lot about this vaccine and how it's hurting people is that they come out and they said, oh, well, we've give 1.28 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and then they claim only 6 people had blood clots, but then they stopped giving out the vaccine. When is the last time in American history that our government has stopped doing something just because it hurt 6 people? They've never done it. So this tells me one of two things, or mainly it tells me one thing, that the number 6 is not correct, that there's a whole lot more there that we are not seeing, things that they are keeping, behind the scenes, classified as above your pay grade, all that kind of stuff. And, that's something we need to keep an eye on. I'm really worried about what's coming up with those shots over the next few months. I get the feeling we're going to see a lot worse stuff coming from that. Mount Echo, good. Why would they use nukes when they have the vax? That's true. You got people lining up taking it. I heard a newscast today said 50% of America is vaccinated. All right. So, here's what I asked. I got an argument with one of my friends at work the other day. And because he took the vaccine, and hey, he can do whatever he wants. I don't pay his bills. I don't raise him, so he can do whatever he wants. There's no skin off my back. But he was like, all adamant about it. Well, it's going to help me. It's going to help me. I said, well, dude, you took the vaccine and you missed 3 weeks of work because you were so sick. Yeah. And he was like, oh, well, that's just what it does to some people. I said, well, what good is it? What good is it? All right. Do you have to wear a mask? And there he is standing with a mask on his face. I said, can you do anything I can't do? And the answer is no. There's no benefit to that. There's actually no benefit to getting the vaccine. I mean, people will say, it protects you from coronavirus, but everybody I know that's got it has gotten sick. And that's my personal experience. And there we go. YouTube's going to pull me for that statement, but I stand by it. And, everybody right now, that's getting it, and except for the very young people, the very extremely healthy people, other people like me, I'm 50, I'm not in terrible health, but if I go get the vaccine, I'm going to get sick from it, just like other people my age do. And, and I'm not telling anybody what to do. We all got to make our own choices. I just know that for me, to take something that, has not been proven. And this is one of the things we discussed when we sort of got into it a little bit at work, is he was like, well, it's approved. I said, no, it's not approved. And if you go to the FDA's website, it clearly says these vaccines are not approved. They were only given out under an Emergency Use Authorization Act. And when they were given out, the companies that made these vaccines made the government put a clause in that says, no matter what happens, we will not be in any way financially or any other way responsible for what happens with this vaccine. What's up, Prepper Trucking? How you doing, brother? And, it's just crazy. What really bothers me about all that is the amount of people that just watch one news article on CNN and think, oh, things are going to be great. I'm going to go get these 2 shots. They don't even bother reading. I mean, even the CDC and the FDA on their websites will plain out say this vaccine has not been tested. You are the test. You are the test for this vaccine. But yet people don't want to admit it. A lot of sheep, I guess. A lot of sheep. Amen. All right. So we know that Russia's a threat. Russia's really being aggressive lately. They've got a lot of troops in the Arctic, which is not very far from Alaska, in case people are wondering. You're talking within 50 miles of Alaska, we got thousands of military troops right now that are from Russia. We got their subs all up and down the West Coast. We got them. Russia right now has the largest force they've ever amassed around the Ukrainian border. Okay, what does that tell you? Countries do not mobilize their military. They don't mobilize their military on that level unless something's happening, because that costs a lot of money. You think about how much gas it takes simply just to drive the tanks, 500 miles to Ukraine. It takes a lot of gas, and it takes a lot of money. You got to feed the troops. You got to take care of them while they're there. And that takes a lot more than it does when they're in the barracks and they're eating, at the mess hall, and they're eating at, I guess you could say, wholesale cost. So they don't do this for nothing. This is not an exercise. This is not a fun and games thing to them. They're going to probably try to take Ukraine, and they're probably going to try and do it after this court trial that we're seeing going on right now ends. Exactly, Major. I mean, people don't research, and the research is out there. The information is out there. Most of the information that I got, I got one of my videos, or several of my videos, pulled, but I got banned from YouTube a little while back for like a week. And that was because of information that I put out that I got from the CDC's and FDA's website. And I still got a suspension on that. If it happens again, then it's like I think at this time it's 2-week or 30-day suspension. And I hope not. And that's why I try to avoid it, but it's crazy. All right. And China, we talk about Russia, and Russia's got that going on up there. I mean, Russia's like, they're moving over the northern hemisphere. You think about this, I never really thought about it this way, but Russia's moving into the Arctic. They're taking all of the seas, all the oceans, all the water around the Arctic area. Russia's trying to take that right now. They're even saying you can't come here, and they're talking to us. and every other nation in the world. And anybody that tries to come there is going to be met with military force. So they're taking the north. And what is China doing? They're moving south. China's taking the South China Sea. They're trying to move into Taiwan. They already flew some jets in there. I think it was today or either yesterday. And Taiwan is now requesting anti-air missiles from the U.S. to help defend against these Chinese jets that are now flying into their airspace. So you got Russia to the north, China to the south. And they can take that hemisphere pretty easy. You think about it. Who can stand up to Russia or China or both of them combined in that side of the world right now? And there's no one that can. There's not one country that can. And there aren't many countries you could add together, and they're still going to be able to do that. We're not going to be able to stand up to both of them at the same time without using nukes. And that's a plain and simple fact. We don't have the manpower. And I hate to say that. We don't have the manpower. All right. So we're facing a lot of things in the world. We're facing a lot of trouble in the world right now, but we're also facing some trouble at home. And this trouble at home has been ongoing for a little while now. And we saw last summer, we saw a lot of cities burn. I mean, we saw a lot of things happen, a lot of riots, a lot of people were killed, a lot of people were injured. I mean, you can't even get comprehensive statistics on all that. It's really hard to add all together, but hundreds of people were killed. Thousands of people were injured. Thousands of businesses were put out of business for the rest of their life. And a lot of people, I heard some Democrat on TV say, well, these businesses are insured. They'll be okay. No, they're not. I've got insurance, but as well as I do, anybody listening to this, insurance don't pay the whole bill. And insurance ain't going to get you customers back in that store if you want a store. It might pay for some of the stuff, but it's not going to pay for all, and you're still out of business. Because guess what? Most stores don't buy their stuff. Most stores have their stuff delivered. When it sells, they pay their distributor. And that's the way it works a lot of times, except for, smaller stores. And, these people are not going to recover. And what we're seeing right now going on in Minnesota, this is going to spill over into the entire nation. And we're going to see this week. So some of the things we're going to touch on a little bit later, too, is also, things we should prepare, keeping our car, keeping our vehicle or truck or SUV, whatever you may drive. And, make sure that we have the right gear ready, and also to make sure that we have the right mindset, because there's a lot of things can go wrong this week. All right. So let's look to begin with. All right. We know the Chauvin trial is going on in Minnesota, and this is going to, I don't think it's really going to matter which way it goes. I think that there's going to be, violence either way. And I really hate to say that, but I just don't see it letting up. And the reason is because people are already massing there. People are already massing. You've got a lot of people that are there right now. And a lot of people, these people that are there, they're not going to want to go home peacefully. I mean, think about it. They came there because they're expecting to riot. They're expecting to burn. And now, even if the court case goes the way they want it, what are they going to do? They're just going to leave peacefully? Do you really believe that? No. Then they're going to celebrate, and they're going to burn more stuff. They're going to do whatever. And this isn't about supporters of George Floyd. This isn't about supporters of Chauvin or the police. This isn't about any of that. This is about people that are getting there they're coming there, I should say, not getting there. They're coming there for one reason, and that's to cause trouble. They're not coming there because they knew George Floyd. They're not coming there because they want justice. Some are, and I see that. Some are, and I understand that. But a lot of these people are not. This past weekend, the National Guard's been out there in Minnesota for the last few days, and I think it is about 1,000 troops that are there. And the problem with this is when they send the National Guard to a lot of these places, they're armed with rubber bullets and things like that. Well, this weekend, the National Guard was manning a post there in Minnesota, Minneapolis, whatever. They were manning a post along with some police officers, and they were the victims of a drive-by shooting. None of the soldiers, none of the police officers got hit, but they did hit the vehicle, and 2 soldiers were took to the hospital. I couldn't get clear details on, what their injuries were, which I understand, respect to people's privacy there. But obviously, it was injuries that they suffered during this drive-by shooting. So you think about that right there. Think about that. Think about that boldness right there. Somebody drives by and shoots at fully armed National Guard troops with their vehicles there. What does that tell you about the respect that these rioters have for not just the National Guard and police, but for this nation as a whole? Yeah, that sounds about right, Dr. Prepper. Yeah. And let's look real quick. I'm going to bring something up here. Let's look at the charges that are being brought against Derek Chauvin. Now, I'm not, like I said, I'm just presenting these charges. Or talking about them here. I'm not saying he didn't do anything wrong. I'm not saying he did. I'm going to leave that to everybody else's opinion. All right. He was charged with a second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter charge. All right, so 3 different charges. And we're going to scroll down. I'm going to share my screen right here. All right. Okay. And let me get this. I'm going to get this chat off the screen for a little bit so that you can see the whole screen. All right. Does that come through? Because it sort of looks like gibberish up here on my screen. Hopefully that comes through, but I'll read it off. And, first, the second-degree murder is considered what's called unintentional murder. It's also felony murder. And in this case, to prove this count, prosecutors had to show that Chauvin killed Floyd while committing or trying to commit a felony. In this case, third-degree assault. All right. Now, I don't want to see anybody die. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. And not no more than I've ever had to. I don't want to see it. Nobody wants to see it. But I sort of do have an issue with the way they word these charges here. If they're going to convict this guy, then they need to convict him. But this is like a trap right here. To prove this count, prosecutors had to show that Chauvin killed Floyd while committing or trying to commit a felony. And they mean while Chauvin was trying to commit a felony. Okay. Now, he definitely was not committing a felony, robbing the bank. But what they're considering the felony in this case is the third-degree assault charge they have against him. So here's the thing. If the third-degree assault charge goes through, that's a felony. So then he very well will be guilty of second-degree murder because he killed Floyd while committing that felony, which is third-degree assault. And that's what they're looking at with the charges. And like I said, not really, I'm not a defense attorney. I'm not a lawyer. I've seen footage just like y'all have seen, and terrible things happen all the time, and I'll agree with that. And, I'm not saying anybody was justified or anybody wasn't. I'm sort of going to stay neutral on that. I'm going to stay neutral for one reason, and that reason is I wasn't there. And all I have to go on is what I could gather on the internet here. So, but the thing is this, is the fact that this is being set up so that this officer will have to, or ex-officer will have to basically serve time. And, it was a pretty hard tape to watch, as far as, you watch the videotape, and it does look terrible. And he's probably going to serve some time. But the thing is this, is in my personal opinion, and I'm just going off of opinion right here, is that I don't think it matters what charges he's convicted of. I really don't think that. There's too many people in Minnesota already. They're already shooting at the National Guard and police. There are already riots, even though it's not on all the national TVs. You really have to look for the footage, but you can find it. It's already going on right now. So if they were to come back tomorrow, let's just say they come back tomorrow and they say, hey, we're giving the death sentence, and they're not going to do that. But let's say they did, there's still going to be riots because these people are already in place. This is what they're wanting, especially when you look at like Maxine Waters' statements today. And I'm going to read her statements off here to you, if I can find them. And they are somewhere. All right. Well, I run across it. 3,000 troops currently and 10,000 law enforcement officers. So this could go, I don't want to say in a positive way, but this could prevent something from happening, but I don't believe it will. I mean, I hope it does. I really hope it does. And I have, all right. I don't know what to do with that webpage. But Maxine Waters, I'm sure you've seen the headlines, came out today and basically was instigating the riots, or this was yesterday, I think, and was instigating the riots even more, was talking about how there can't be any peace and how we need to be even more, and I can't quote this part, we need to be even more confrontational. And she goes on to say, we can't stop. We have to keep on and do it worse than ever, basically. All right, now, if she can come out into a crowd that's already forming a riot and say we need to be more confrontational after the buildings in this city have already burned, after people have already been killed, after many others have been injured, and she can come out and say this, maybe I'm getting old, but I think I remember back in January that President Trump was impeached for inciting violence at the Capitol for much less statements. But I guarantee you, I'll bet everything I own, she will not see anything from this. Nancy Pelosi's already backing her up. Nancy Pelosi says she did nothing wrong. She's got a right to say that, and that's another one too. That's two of them that really, really don't need to be in Congress anymore. That's a good point, Aaron. That is a very good point. She says Chauvin can't be charged because they need violence. And that's why it really wouldn't surprise me tomorrow to see this come back. Well, maybe it won't be tomorrow, maybe the next day, whatever. But the jury's in deliberation right now. So it wouldn't surprise me to see this come back with some type of basically just a manslaughter charge, or maybe nothing at all. I don't see how they can stick the murder charges on him because I don't believe that it was an intentional murder. Manslaughter, I can see. I can see if I did something that resulted in somebody's death, I would get charged with manslaughter. I can see that. But anything short of the death sentence is not going to stop these rioters. And even if that was to happen, I don't think it's going to stop them anyway. They're already in place. And this is what a lot of people aren't seeing, is they're already in place. And it's not just going to be in Minnesota. If this trial does not go the way they want it to, then we're going to see riots in all the cities we saw riots in throughout the last year. And for, the riots were not like the mainstream media tries to portray them. And what I mean is like isolated events. This was going on throughout the entire country. It was in almost every major city. There was some form of rioting, and there were people getting injured. There were things getting burned. And this is unacceptable. This is just totally unacceptable in our nation. We are a civilized nation. And if we can't solve our differences in one way, well, if you're going to burn things down, then, you reap what you sow. And this just cannot be tolerated much longer. If Biden does not do something, if this turns into a full-blown riot, if Biden does not do something, then, he's not fit to be president. This has to be stopped. It should have been stopped last summer. It should have been stopped. There was no reason why our cities should have burnt like that. There's no reason, because you had millions of people burning, out on the streets. You had thousands of people breaking into buildings, looting, and burning things down. Those people did not give a crap about George Floyd. They were taking Nikes out of stores. They were taking TVs out of stores. They were burning buildings they'd never even been in. And that is not a protest. That's ridiculous. That's even worse than childish BS. That's, I mean, words can't really describe it. You're going to go just burn down people's livelihoods because you have the chance. And that's what it boils down to. They have the chance. The police are standing back. They're not doing anything. And we can't expect them to do anything now. So when this does happen, the bad news is we're probably on our own. If you're in one of these areas, when these riots break out, 911's not going to do any good. It's not going to do any good at all. The only thing that's going to do good is what you got with you, how you can defend yourself and how you can protect yourself. And that's what we need to really think about. And these types of times, it's not so much, am I going to buy more 25-year, food? Am I going to buy more water purification? I already got those things. No, right now, you need a means of self-defense, because right now we're facing a threat that's internal to this country, and it's a threat that's more real than it has ever been. And this week could very well change and redefine our lives, and whether we want it to or not, it's coming. And as soon as this jury gets back, it doesn't really matter which way they go. We're going to see the effects of this. The average person like me or you that had nothing to do with anything are going to be the ones that see the effects of this. And some of us, unfortunately, are going to get hurt. Some of us are going to have to hurt other people in defense of ourselves or, our property or our loved ones. And this is not the type of nation that we ever thought or wanted to bring our kids up in. All right. Yeah. Yeah. The comments, every one of them is right. This is something that, think about it. Think about it. If the government, if just the cities that these riots were going on in really wanted to stop these riots, we know they could. They could stop these riots if they wanted to. If our National Guard can stop these riots, the real thing is, think about how this has the potential to escalate right now. Think about how this has the unimaginable potential to escalate right now. All right. This past weekend, some person, whatever, has done a drive-by and has shot at National Guard and police officers. A couple of them had to go to the hospital. What happens when someone does shoot a, National Guardsman? What happens then? Well, I'll tell you what would happen when I was in the military and someone shoots someone from my unit. We open fire. So someone shoots someone from the National Guard. They open fire. What happens next? What do you think that will bring? And that's what we really got to worry about. Because if the police stop them, great. If the National Guard puts an end to the riots, that's great. What we have to focus on or think about, or at least plan for, is when it goes the other way. What happens if one of the National Guard gets shot and then they open fire? And then now we've got, National Guard opening fire on American citizens. You think about it. You can hear the headlines or see the headlines right now coming from the mainstream media. And then everybody's going to be against the National Guard. There will be more riots, and it will be civil war at that point. Economic collapse, we're in the middle of one. It's coming. But that's the least of our worries. What we really got to worry about is the problems we got internal and the problems we're going to have coming at us externally before very long. And those are Russia and China. And our government is so inept. They can't even seem to grasp this, or at least they don't act like they grasp it. You have to wonder what is Biden and his administration thinking, when Russia's doing the things they're doing. Oh, let's sanction them a little more. What good's that doing? Russia got plenty of money. We ain't hurting them. It's not that I want to hurt Russia. I just want to stop them, from attacking us. And the same with China. China is more of a threat than Russia has ever been to us. China is an aggressive threat on the economic front, on the technological front, and on the military front. They are surpassing us. They're surpassing us with currency. They're surpassing us on the economic front. They have stolen our technology, and that's been proven time and time again. And now they have advanced it. So their technology is up there with ours, if not better. And their military is definitely larger than ours. The big advantage we have is we have been producing, highly technological military weapons for a long time, whereas they're just now getting in that game. So we do have that advantage still on the technological aspect, but we do not have the numbers advantage. China has 1.2 billion people. We got 330 million in the US. They have us outnumbered 4-1, almost 5-1. And, on just a straight manpower front, we can't really compete with them. All right. Give me just 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, back. Sorry, I had to take a short restroom break, y'all. But of all the things we got going on, I mean, we got a lot going on in the nation. We got a lot going on in the world. But no matter what's going on in the world, this week we have to focus on what's going on in the nation. And in the nation, we're seeing a divide that's being created by the people up top. I mean, the average person don't got nothing against you and don't got nothing against me, just like I got nothing against anybody else. It's the people, it's the elite. It's the elite that have the problem with us. And they have the problem with us for two reasons. One, they can't actually control every single thing we do. And the second, they believe there's too many of us in the world. And there are, because they can't rule us with this amount of population in the world. Why do you think we're seeing all this military engagement going on? Why do you think we're seeing chaos in our streets? Why do you think we're seeing Russia, China, move so aggressively? It's because we're headed to a war. As bad as, I don't want to say that. I got 4 sons, and all 4 of them are prime fighting age, I guess you would say. And that's the last thing I want, is for them boys to have to fight a war, just like I don't want your children to have to fight a war. That's what we fought 4 years ago, so that we wouldn't have to do that again. But our government is forcing this upon us. And they've left our hands tied. Elections don't matter anymore. We see that. They don't matter. I mean, people that want to deny there was any type of fraud going on back then. I shouldn't use the word fraud. There goes my YouTube channel. But people, that don't want to admit to that, obviously do not like facts, because facts don't lie. When you have video evidence of this kind of thing going on, when you've got electronic evidence of this kind of thing going on, that would be enough to convict me of anything. It'd be enough to convict everybody watching this of anything. No questions asked. But yet it all depends on one thing, and that's the judge it goes in front of. And if that judge happens to lean towards the left, then forget it. Forget it. So this week we're facing something that we're gonna see. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that I'll come back this weekend and do a live cast and say, hey y'all, I was wrong. There was no riots. Everything was peaceful. I really hope that. But I think we all know that's not going to happen. So the main thing that we can do, there's only really one thing that we can do as preppers, and that's to make sure that we are taken care of and our family is taken care of. It's too late for this event right now for me to go out and try and get 2 years food supply. That's out the window. I should have done that 2 months ago. And I've done it years ago. But now you need to focus on the things, if you're not prepared, the things that are going to keep you safe and the things that are going to get you home or get your family out of that area, when the time comes. So some of the things we're going to want to make sure of this week coming up. And one thing I did tonight is, I went and gassed up my car. I mean, I always keep it fairly, at least above half to 3/4 of a tank, but I gassed it up tonight because if that jury comes in tomorrow, sometime early morning, then, I live in a pretty urban area. And last time there were riots, they did sort of spill over here, not at my house. I'm not going to try and say that. No, but fairly close by, close enough to where, I realize it's a threat. I realize it's a threat at this point because I'm living up here in Michigan right now, not in South Carolina where I'm from. So make sure your vehicle is at the bare minimum gassed up. Check your air pressure in your tires. Make sure it's at good levels. Make sure you're good to go there, and just make sure that your vehicle's running. Because this is upon us right now. This is happening right now. So I'm not going to have time to go out and have any work done in my car. I should have already had that done. But I can make sure that I'm topped off with everything I need to be topped off with, so that if I have to hit the road, I can go, a few hundred miles before I have to worry about refueling and things like that. So just at least make sure of that. Now, I'm always been a strong advocate of a get home bag or a vehicle kit that you carry in your car. And I've actually upped mine a little bit this week. I normally carry my bug out vehicle, but if you can see behind me here, I've got a couple of backpacks back there that I'm going to toss in the back of my SUV. One of them is my long-term bug out bag that I could take off into the woods and probably survive for quite a while if I had to. And the other's a smaller get home bag. It never hurts to have too many supplies, and I feel like, in my vehicle, these will be fairly safe. Hopefully, I won't lose my vehicle if something goes wrong. So make sure to have a bag in your vehicle that can help get you home. And we'll talk about some of those contents here in just a second. But also a weapon. If you don't have a weapon, if you don't have a firearm, anything could be a weapon. You got a lot of different weapons. K-bar is my favorite knife. I got a couple of K-bars, but I also have a lot of weapons too, a lot of firearms. Make sure that you have a weapon with you, because this is going to be, when people get jumped, when people get attacked, nobody ever attacks you when you're standing there with your gun out around in the chamber and ready to go. They're not attacking you then. You know how it goes. Trouble always comes when you least expect it. It always comes when you least expect it. So if you're always prepared, then it doesn't matter if you expect it or not. You've got everything you need right there with you to take care of you and whoever's with you, your loved ones. So make sure that you have a weapon. This is going to be extremely important, because believe me, we've already seen the people on the streets that are rioting and doing the damage. They have weapons. Maybe not every one, but enough of them. It don't take all of them having weapons. It just takes a few. Another important thing is to make sure that if your cell phone, because we rely so much on cell phones for like Google Maps and things like that, navigation, communication in general, but make sure not only is your cell phone charged, but a portable battery pack is something that's worth carrying with you at all times, or at least carrying in your vehicle at all times. Because if you do have to abandon your vehicle, in your car, truck, whatever, you can charge that device. But if you have to abandon that vehicle, then, if you have a portable power supply, then you're going to be able to keep that phone running for much longer, and you're going to be able to get information on what's going on around you, which, Google Maps, I'm sure everybody uses Google Maps. I use it a lot when I'm going somewhere. But, Google Maps should add a new feature to it. How they have that feature when you're driving down the interstate and it says there's a wreck ahead. They need to have like a riot app so that you can say, hey, there's a riot up ahead, so I'm going to bypass this. Sorry, that's probably a bad joke, but, hey, why not, right? All right. So make sure you got something, to charge that. Now, I've always been a firm believer in maps and compass, in having a map and compass. But having a map and compass don't do a whole lot of good if I don't know how to use it. Now, I realized I was looking back at some of my older videos on the channel, and I did a video on navigation without a map and compass. And as I was looking back, I was like, well, where's my map and compass video? And I don't know. I don't know if I deleted it or if I just never got it uploaded right, but I'm going to be doing a map and compass, how to read a map, how to read a compass, and that's including your declination, how to factor that in. It's much simpler than people make it sound like. People always say, well, you got to factor in your declination. That's the degree of error between true north and, magnetic north. Yeah, it is, but it's a pretty simple calculation to figure out. It's not that hard, So we're going to look at that. I'm gonna be doing that video before long. But one thing I do want to show y'all is this right here. I picked this up the other day, and I love these things. And what this is a let me get in front of the camera. This is a waterproof map case, right? And it folds like this, and it folds into a little pocket like that, and you open it up. Boom! You see part of your map. You unfold it. You got the rest of your map in there, and it zips. Got a waterproof zipper on it, and it's really cool. I'm going to post a link. It probably won't be right now where I got that from, but it was pretty cheap. I think I paid like $14 for it. But this is something that I think comes in handy, because if you got a map and it does get wet, then you may have lost that map at that point. So having something to keep it in that's waterproof is going to be beneficial to you in the end, especially when it's something cheap like this. But a map and compass is extremely important. Even if, and I'm just going to say it, even if you don't know how to read a map and compass, or a compass, I should say, everybody can read a map. It's pretty simple. But if you have a city map, if you live in an urban area and you have a city map with the road names, then that's going to help you a lot, because you're not necessarily going to need a compass inside of a large city, because you have a road map with the street names. And that's going to help you, get to the direction you need to get to. In the wilderness, it's a whole different story. If you're out in the woods, then, if you can't read a map and compass, then just go ahead and build you a shelter and plan on staying there, because a map and compass in the woods is essential. It's essential. I mean, you're not gonna travel the Appalachian Mountains without a map and compass. You can make your way through New York City without a map and compass, especially if you got a city map, a road map. So it's a lot different in the woods than it is in the city. So I know right now I live in the heaviest populated area I've ever lived in. I'm from South Carolina, and I'm used to wide open spaces. I'm used to mountains. I'm used to lakes, rivers. And now I live up here in Michigan, and I got 1.25 million people in the same size county that had 70,000 in it in South Carolina. So, this is a big change for me. This is an urban environment, and I've had to really rethink a lot of my preps, for this. And the biggest difference, I'll be straight up with you. The biggest difference between an urban area and a forest or wilderness type of area is, in a forest or wilderness type of area, I'm going to be able to do what I need to do. There's a lot of space. There's a lot of wide open space. There's not as many people. But up here, my biggest threat is not dehydration. It's not starvation. It's not anything else. It's people. It's other people. Because when people get desperate, whether that's a good person, a bad person, when they get desperate and they think you have something that they need to take care of their family, they're going to try and take it. And the fact is, when I live in an area this crowded, I'm going to run across a lot more of those people than if I was in the woods of the Appalachian Mountains. So, it's a whole different environment. And for those in the cities like I am right now, you got to really do the next thing that's on my list right here, and that's have a plan to get out of there. If the cities do get violent, if they get violent to the point that a lot of buildings are burning, are you going to take the chance that that building right there next to you that's burning is not going to set your apartment building on fire? You can't take that chance. Not if you have family there. Even if you don't have family, it doesn't matter. You can't take that chance. And you have to have a plan to get out of the city. And one plan is not going to work, because we all know that nothing ever goes according to plan. We always see that. One plan's not going to work, but one plan will lead you in the right direction. And if you have multiple plans, then once you hit a roadblock, you can branch off in the direction you need to go in. And planning is different for everybody, especially, depending on the type of environment that you live in. So I'm going to do a video. I've been trying to put together a video on how to develop a plan to get out of the city. But the more I research that video, the bigger difference I see in all these different cities, And it's a really hard one to put together, but I'm going to have that out pretty soon as I can. All right. Another thing that you need in your vehicle for these times that are coming up in your bag, your get home bag, we already said you need a weapon. We know that you need a cell phone battery charger, something to that effect, a map and a compass, or a city map if you're, dead center urban area, at least a city map that'll get you out of that town. Next thing is a knife. You need a knife, and this knife can serve multiple purposes. A knife can be your weapon, but it's also a tool, especially if you get a good knife. If you get we get what we can afford, and I know that better than anybody probably. But I do have a K-bar right now, and I know that it is strong enough that knife serves multiple purposes. I can actually chop small wood with it to make firewood. I can do a lot of different things with that knife. It has a serrated blade. It's the 1211, has a serrated blade on the back side of it. And I can actually use that to saw on wood to create sawdust. And that's something that maybe a lot of people don't think about. You see people, that will have bags of dryer lint and have bags of tinder for fire starter, in their bug out bag. And that's cool. That's fine. But you can also take a knife that has a serrated blade and you can rub that against any stick that you find in the forest and you're creating sawdust. And that sawdust is just as good a tinder as anything that you're ever going to buy. So, you can make your own tinder. You can make your own kindling. You can make your own, everything. Having a good knife could make the difference, especially if you're in a wilderness environment. Having a good knife will make the difference between life and death in some situations. Next thing that you're going to want to keep in this get home bag to help you get home, should anything happen over the next week or so, is some type of line or rope. Now, this doesn't always seem, important, but some things just, come in handy. If I have some line, and the paracord seems to be the most popular, and the 550 paracord, because it has 550 pounds of strength, it can support that much weight, and it's very small, very durable. And, this is always a good choice. Larger ropes take up a lot more room. So the paracord is a pretty good choice there. And you can also take the paracord. If you ever notice you cut it in half or cut a piece off of it and you look at it, you'll see that it has lots of multiple strands internal in that paracord. That's what makes it so strong. It's not one piece. It's a bunch of small strands that are woven together. And you can actually pull these out and make smaller lines out of them to secure things, to tie things. And this is going to be extremely evident as to how important it is once you're in a survival situation, say in the wilderness, and you got to build your own shelter. It's pretty hard to just stack logs up on top of each other and the wind starts blowing, they blow down. If I have some type of cord line, then I can secure them and I can create shelter for the night. And, that's going to help me survive. So this is a really good thing. Trout line, that's a very good point there. You could take some heavy duty fishing line like that and substitute your paracord for that. That's a really good thing. I always keep a little fishing kit in my bug out bag, which my primary I've got too many bug out bags, but my big one that I got back here is what I call a long-term bag. And it's got fishing line. It's got some, snares, some traps that I can use. It's got a lot of different things. And, that's not a bag that I'm going to carry on my back through a city. That's a bag that I'm going to use when I'm in the wilderness, and the reason is because that bag is geared towards the wilderness with fishing, hunting, snaring, trapping supplies, building my camp, things like that. So, you don't need a huge bag like that, but you do need some basic supplies. Also, another thing is a tarp or a small tent. Now, I ran across one of these. Let's see, right. I don't know if I find it anywhere close by here. Yeah. I'm going to do a review on one of these here and let y'all know how good that is. But it's the Life Tent. If you've ever used it, Go Time Gear. I bought this because I buy too much gear. But this is a survival tent that has its own paracord with it. And it comes in this little package right here. And as you can see, that doesn't take up much space in your bug out bag. Heck, you could even use the paracord there and just loop it to your belt if that's what you need to do. But I'm going to do a review on these. I'm going down to South Carolina back on the 29th of this month, and I'm going to be down there for a couple weeks. So I'm not going to be able to carry my computer and all down there with me, so I'm not going to be making videos, but I'm going to be doing some live streams, talking about some stuff like this and showing how it works. I don't make no money off that. I just want y'all to know if it's worth your money or not. That's all. That's the reason I'm doing it, because I'm hoping it is. So that way it's something I got, can help me out. But if it's not worth your money, I will let you know. Another thing that gets overlooked a lot, especially in your small get-home bags, is a change of clothes. And, when we think of get-home bag from my vehicle, I'm thinking something that's just going to get me home. Why would I need a change of clothes? And it's not so much that I'm going to need a total change of clothing, but I do want to at least carry a pair of socks, a couple pairs of socks, and a couple pairs of underwear, and maybe a washcloth in there so I can clean myself up a little bit, but at least so that I can change my undergarments and my socks, because it does not take long for jungle rot to set in. If anybody out there has ever had it, you know what I'm saying. It don't take long for that to set in. So having at least a pair of undergarments and a couple pairs of socks, is going to help you out. Now, is it a necessity? No, you can probably get by without it. But I've always felt like, I'd rather have things I don't need than need things I don't have. And if I don't, prepare this kind of stuff, then eventually somewhere down the line, I'm going to need something I don't have. Now, food and water purification. Food and water purification. And, we talk about this all the time. Now, this is what the giveaway is going to be tonight, actually, too, is these right here, survival tabs. This is something I've been wanting to test out. I've read some about these. I've ate a couple of them, but, I haven't tried to live off of them. This package contains 2 servings. It says 12 tablets, per serving, 24 tablets per package. So in theory, if I had to, then I could get by with 2 of these packets. Should last me for a couple days as far as nutritions go, because actually one serving of these, according to, what it says back here, 1 serving of these covers all your daily nutrient vitamin needs. 1 serving covers all that. But, it doesn't address the issue of caloric intake. You got to have calories. You got to have energy incoming to burn energy. And that's what I want to test these out in the woods. I want to go about 3 days eating nothing but these and see how I feel. And, broadcast that and let people see it. Does it work? Does it not work? But hopefully it does. It's got some good reviews. So somebody tonight's going to get one of these. All right. So that's that. Now, also in your get home bag, don't forget your first aid kit. Don't forget a first aid kit. Now, in a get home bag, first aid kit doesn't need to be much, but you need to be able to stop bleeding, and you need to be able to treat burns. Those are probably 2 of the most important things. You're not going to have to worry about infection, and what I mean by that is you're getting home, so you're getting to your bigger first aid kit. So I wouldn't go too heavy with something like this, because it's something that you're going to want to be able to be portable and take home with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, prepper trucking is right on that, especially when you're walking a long time. It's real easy for me to go over here and my long-term bug out bag weighs almost 50 pounds, right? Now, when I was back in the military, back in my 20s, early 20s, oh man, I'd run around all day with that on my back. But these days, I have to sort of think about that, how far am I going to carry that pack before I need to stop and take a rest? What if there's people behind me? What if people are following me? And this is something we have to take into account. If I know for a fact I'm bugging out of the area, never coming back, I'm taking everything that I can possibly carry with me. I'll discard what I have to along the way if that's necessary. But if I'm looking at getting from my vehicle that's stalled in traffic to my home that's 5 miles away, 10 miles away, then I'm not carrying a 50-pound bug out bag. I'm going to carry a get home bag, one that has the basic essentials that can support me for a couple of days if necessary until I get home. Now, the whole purpose of me getting home will be 1 of 2 things. I'm getting home to my family, or I'm getting home to my supplies. If I have neither of those there, if I have no family at home And if I don't have an abundance of supplies there that I need to get back to, then, maybe I'll consider bugging out to somewhere else. And that's what's so concerning about this week coming up, is for a lot of people who live in the cities, they're thinking, all right, bug out. Where am I going to bug out to? A lot of people who live deep in an inner city, in large cities like Detroit, like New York, like Chicago, they may have not ever left that area except for on a weekend excursion somewhere. They don't know where to go. And that's a very concerning thing for those people. And that's where, and I hate to say it, but that's where planning comes in. I know, like right now, I know I live in a difficult area to bug out of. I got 3 interstates I got to cross just to get south of here. And I've already worked out ways that I can drive across those interstates where there are no guardrails, so I can cross them horizontally if I have to. And, you got to plan for this ahead of time. And it's not too late right this minute. I mean, if someone out there does not have a plan, it's not too late to get online and start looking at these maps, start looking at a plan, start looking at, how you're going to get out of here, because it's important. It's very important. Planning is one of the biggest parts of prepping. Anybody can stockpile gear, and, that's what we call hoarders. I'm a hoarder when it comes to gear. I have way too much, but planning is what makes a prepper a prepper. That's what makes you a survivalist, a prepper, is the fact that you have a plan to not only get to where you need to get to a safe location, but get your family there and survive after that happens. Me just stockpiling gear in my home is not a plan for the future, because at some point in time, somebody's going to knock on that door, and there's no telling if it's going to be one person or 10 people. So planning is the most important part of prepping. You have to, no matter how set you are at staying where you're at, you have to have a plan to get out. That's at least if you want to survive the event. And we're going to see, I think there's 2 ways it can go. I think the National Guard this week and the police may step up, and they could stop riots in their place. They could definitely do that if they wanted to. And it's not so much if they want to, if our politicians will let them. And to me, this is a big test on our government. If our government allows this to happen again, then we should have zero faith in our government from here on out. I don't have much in them right now. And if this is not stopped before it becomes a true epidemic, other than what they're talking about on the news, it becomes a true problem throughout the U.S., because this is going to spread. It's not going to happen in Minnesota. I mean, it's going to happen there, but it's going to happen in the city closest to you. It's going to happen in the city closest to me. It's going to happen in every major city across the U.S. Think back to last summer. Multiply that times 10. Because now there is an administration in office that supported this activity last summer, and they're almost coming out and supporting it right now. We're in for a lot this week. Hopefully I'm wrong. Like I said, I hope I'll come on here this weekend, do a live stream, and say, hey, y'all, I was wrong. Nothing happened. But I think we all know a little bit better than that. All right. Well, just want to talk a little bit about all that tonight. And what we're going to do next is we're going to do the giveaway. We got 1 pack for each person. Going to do 2 giveaways, and y'all know how we do it around here. And that is going to be, let me put the chat up on the screen so that I can watch this and make sure I get the right numbers. All right, now I'll be watching what's on the screen right here in front of me. So I'm going to get to the number as fast as I can. I'm going to guess a number between 1 and 100. And as soon as I type in the word go, start guessing. Don't guess before then. All right. And let me type it in. And go. I better put my glasses on. I think I had a little trouble last time. Let's see here. Whoa, they're going so much faster on this other screen over here. Okay. All right. Oh, my God. Oh, shoot. All right. A winner, Jason Arnold. Jason, dude, you won before, man. Congratulations. The number 11. Number 11, I see it on my YouTube live stream. It should come rolling across this screen right here in just a few minutes or just a few seconds. So, Jason Arnold. Let me scroll back up and I want to share it. There we go. Wait. All right. Well, hold on. Let me make sure that I got this in correct order, y'all. Give me just 1 second. Go. All right. 12. All right. Yeah. Jason Arnold, you won again, buddy. Number 11. Number 11. All right. Now, what I'm going to do, since Jason already won one time before, I'm going to give away two more. Hey, what y'all think about that? Let's give away two more because Jason won, and congratulations, Jason. But I want to try and give something to somebody who hadn't won. So, Jason, I already got your address and all, man, and I will have this out to you very quick, brother. All right, and let's go for the second number between 1 and 100. And no, I'm sorry. I need to put my glasses on. I'm trying to read these numbers. Okay, nobody's got it yet. Sorry. Sorry, y'all. Oh, y'all getting close. Somebody had exactly double it. Exactly double it. Not getting your address, Mountain. Oh, man. There we go. Lee Ferris. I'm going to try and put it up right here. I'm having a little difficulty getting my app to... hold on. Lee Ferris. Let me scroll up to where he had the correct number. It was 33. It was 33 this time. It'll take me a second. All right. Oh, wait, now hold on. I thought I saw 33 on there. Yeah, there we go. Lee Ferris, 33. Okay. So, Lee, 33. So, you get one of these. Hey, y'all do me a favor, too. If you use these survival tabs, and like check them out just to see how good they work, let me know. Let me know if they work, if they, because I'm going to find out in the woods, and sort of it'd be nice to have a little heads up before I get down there and do that. All right, we got one more. So we're giving away 3 tonight. That's a record for us. Giving away 3 tonight, and this one is go. Ready? All right. Close. There we go. Business Goose, number 55. There's a couple people got 55. Business Goose was the first. Let me verify that, but I'm pretty sure because I was trying to watch it as it streamed up, and as you can see, I went with all double numbers tonight. I had 11, then I had 33, and then 55, and it was Business Goose. Let me find your message or your one right here, and I'll put it up. Yeah, there were several people got that 55. But this was, and y'all can check in the comments. I was looking because I want to make sure I got it right. Business Goose. You are the third winner tonight. So everybody will be getting 1 pack of these survival tabs, and I'll be shipping these out. It'll be sometime this week, before by Friday at the latest, generally. So hopefully, go out pretty quick. And, if you do use them, then, let me know how it went. Let me know, how you felt if you took them, as opposed to eating dinner or whatever. Who was the first? You're welcome. All right, y'all. Well, I got some other stuff that I had pulled out of some of my gear, and some things I got multiples of, and it's going to be like a surprise giveaway. I'll show it at the last minute after we give it away on the next live stream. But some pretty cool stuff. I thought it was pretty cool. Some pretty cool stuff. And I just want to say though, I hope everybody has a safe week. Make sure, let me put my email address up for those that have not emailed me before. It's survivor@SiriusSurvivor.com. And that should go up in the messages there. All right. Right here. All right. Should be in the message, but Serious Survivor. I just want to make sure I spelled it right. Survivor@SiriusSurvivor.com. So if you're a winner tonight, make sure to send me an email and I will get that out. If we bring more ammo in gear. Let me see. I can't read that. Okay. Bring more ammo gear on the road and have to use them. Oh, that's a good question, Dr. Prepper. That's a very good question. Let me see if I can find this here. If we bring more ammo and gear on the road and have to use them, we will be called someone planning to go out and harm. And, that's true. And that's what's crazy about it is these days is that if you have stuff to protect yourself, like I've got a lot, and I know a lot of people watching this got a lot, probably got more than I do. And, but that can be sort of turned around on us. The media can make that look like, oh, look at all these guns he's got. Look at all that ammo. He was planning something big. No, I wasn't. I was just hoping I wouldn't run into nothing big, and if I do, I'm as prepared as I can possibly be. And, I just want everybody, I hope everybody make sure your vehicles are ready to go. Make sure your gear is in your vehicle. Worst comes to worst, you take it out in a couple weeks, because I'm keeping plenty in mind right now, because I'm going to make sure I got what I need if things do go south. Make sure you got a plan. And even as important as a plan, make sure you got a place to go with that plan. We don't want to just randomly say, I'm going, I'm going to go up in the mountains. Well, where in the mountains are you going? Because some of the mountains you can get to pretty easy. Some of it you're not getting to, plain and simple. So having a plan. And I just want to say thanks a lot for watching tonight, y'all. I really appreciate your time. I hope that I was able to help out or something. And I want to say God bless. And I hope everybody has a good evening. And I hope everybody has a safe week. And for now, Serious Survivor out.